everyone, I'm Dr. Z. I'm a clinical psychologist specializing in transgender care. Welcome to my channel. Let's discuss why you still may be struggling with self-esteem once you have completed transition. Again, whatever that completion of transition may be for you, and maybe that may entail some elements of social or some elements of social, medical, and surgical transition. So why is it that now when you have achieved whatever your gender goals are and you feel congruency and you feel good about yourself, in other words, you achieved the level of perhaps even the level of possibility, if possibility is for you. You achieved the level of confidence you were seeking. You achieved the level of gender expression, gender identity, gender representation that is at the core of who you are. So now you have achieved all of that. And yet, at the same time, instead of feeling confident and really good about yourself, you're finding yourself feeling incredibly self-defeated. You're finding yourself maybe feeling some form of inner hatred, some form of lack of confidence, some form of really low self-esteem. Why does this happen? This is a very good question, because theoretically, if you think about it, if you have got to the point where you finally see yourself the way you see yourself on the inside and you're able to express it externally, theoretically speaking, a person should feel better about themselves, right? A person should feel confident, they should feel happy, they should feel really, really good about themselves. So why is it that sometimes when we get to the point where we want to be, we're still not really feeling happy? We're still feeling really, really bad about ourselves. Well, the thing about confidence is that confidence is something that we tend to accumulate with a lot of experience. We tend to accumulate with a lot of things that tend to happen to us. And a lot of times confidence tends to be backed up and supported to us by other people around us. When other people are telling us things about ourselves that we already are believing about ourselves. And when you're struggling with gender dysphoria, which you're also struggling with, a lot of you are struggling with before you even start transition, is tremendous amount of guilt, tremendous amount of shame. And as a result of a lot of guilt and shame, you're going to be having a very, very negative internal dialogue about yourself. Most of you have a long time of telling yourself internally very hateful, very negative, very awful things about yourself as a human being. That's all byproduct of these internal feelings of guilt and shame. And so when you have spent a lot of years internally internalizing all that hate and hating yourself to such a big drastic extent, even when you do transition or even when you do achieve gender expression or gender identity and congruency you're seeking, that internalized hatred is still going to be there. It's still going to follow. An example, a very banal reductionist example that I'm going to make is a person who is struggling with the weight. A person who is, for example, maybe struggling with being quite overweight, has spent many, many years guilting and shaming themselves and feeling really bad about who they are and how they see themselves. And they'll be telling themselves this internal script. We all tell stories to ourselves, and we have to be very careful what kind of stories we tell ourselves, because stories are not truths, and stories can be modified and stories can be changed. This is the power of therapy, is the power of therapy in trying to help and trying to alleviate any kind of pain. It's not that we make the pain go away. No, we don't do that. We're not, as therapists, we're not that powerful. But what we are able to do is we're able to help you change the narrative of a story you tell yourself around pain. So the same thing applies here. So when you have spent a lot of years, as again, going back to my example, as somebody who is overweight, you have spent, let's say, a lot of years telling yourself, I'm fat, I am unattractive, I'm unwanted, I'm undesired, nobody will ever love me, nobody will ever look at me, I feel uncomfortable being vulnerable, I feel uncomfortable being seen in exposed clothing, maybe in a bathing suit, and so on and so forth. So you tell yourself all of these things, and then, unfortunately, but on top of that, society supports a negative dialogue when you're getting, perhaps you're getting stigma for being somebody who carries extra pounds. Maybe your family members, maybe your parents are telling you, oh, you really shouldn't be putting that extra scoop on your plate. all of that continues to really build up in that already inner dialogue. And now it makes you believe that what you're telling yourself is true, because guess what? It's now being backed up by external circumstances. The same thing with gender. So when this person finally loses weight and achieves the body of their dreams, do you think that suddenly they're going to wake up and they're going to feel confident to the point where they feel like they can go ahead and parade and model their body? No, chances are that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is that the person is going to wake up and then they're going to feel pretty depressed, because they're going to say, wait a second, I should feel amazing about myself. And I do, and I feel proud of everything that I have achieved, but yet I still have this internal dialogue. Gender is the same thing. When you have internalized very hateful script about yourself, especially when the script is very embedded in shame and guilt, when you've been growing up telling yourself, I cannot be or I cannot express myself in relationship to my gender. And if I express myself in relationship to my gender, I am disgusting, I am sinful, I am unwanted, I am unlovable, I am freak. I heard people say that too. These are horrible things we tell ourselves. When you grow up telling yourself this type of script, it becomes very introjected also and imbibed with your sense of identity. So when you do achieve congruency you finally wanted to achieve, that script is not going to suddenly vanish. What you have to do, and what I'm hoping some of you will do if you're feeling the feelings of that hatred, even post-transition, is to notice that you have a narrative running in your head. And that narrative was created by you, and then perhaps, sadly, that narrative was also superimposed by society. But you have a chance now to rearrange and change the narrative, and it takes time. All it does is takes time. All it does, it takes time for us to start reminding ourselves that I'm no longer that person, that the things I've been telling myself are mostly arising out of external circumstances, that I do deserve to be loved, that I do deserve to feel good about myself, that I do deserve to present in the genders that I find myself in. And the more you tell yourself the things and the more you remind of yourself or where you are and who you are now, the more you're going to start internalizing a different type of narrative. Do you see that? A narrative that is much more positive, and that's how you strip away, and that's how you build on confidence, and that's how your self-esteem follows. This doesn't happen to everybody, of course not. It depends how long you've been struggling with the negative script. It depends how long you've been carrying this. It also depends what would you supportive environment. If you grow up with a very hateful, shame-provoking guilt script, and a lot of people in your environment were further reinforcing the same ideas you're already telling yourself in your head, then it's going to be even that much more introjected into your sense of identity. However, if you grew up with this negative script, but you had support system that was telling you, we love you, we support you no matter who you are, no matter how you present yourself, we will help you out, we accept you, that script is not going to have such a strong hold in you. So you see how it's also highly shaped up and highly molded by society and by environment, by support system. But sadly, sometimes we can achieve things we want. We all have dreams. Some of us have dreams of getting congruency with our gender identity. Some of us have dreams of becoming rocket scientists. Some of us have dreams of becoming doctors. Some of us have dreams of becoming whatever it is you want to become. And we also have sometimes negative scripts running along those things. A lot of times the negative scripts tend to be less hateful, tend to be more kind of defeating scripts, more an imposter type of script. I don't think I will ever be able to become a doctor. I don't think I will ever become a rocket scientist. I don't think I have it what it takes. Those type of things. Sadly, with the gender, a lot of hate and guilt is also going to be associated, but we all have those scripts, and we all have to be very careful what kind of narrative is spinning inside our head. Our heads are like, really, they're like a theater. And every time you go into your head and you hear your script, Remind yourself that it is as if you're watching a blockbuster movie. So ask yourself, what kind of blockbuster movie are you spinning out of your head? Because you truly are the director who creates the script, and you can modify it. Yes, society plays a big role in it, but ultimately you can really reshape and change the narration of it. So if you're watching this, and if you found yourself transitioning or getting to the point where you always wanted to be, and you know that you ought to feel great about yourself, but you still find yourself struggling with confidence and struggling with self-esteem, chances are you probably had a very long, interjected, pretty hateful, pretty negative script about yourself. And it's time to change and work on that script. They can be modified, they can be changed. They're not set in stone. It's not something that you have to carry with you for the rest of your life. Trust me, this is what therapy, talk therapy, is all about that. It's about re-changing the narrative. That's what people do when they do trauma work. Nobody fully heals trauma. Nobody makes trauma fully go away. But what people do is they help you change the narrative, help you to restructure the memory around the trauma and see that from a different point of view. The same thing with the script. So comment below, let me know, have you found yourself struggling with this hateful script? To what extent have your script has been really internalized into your sense of identity? What helped you to break out of it? And let me know if you're still struggling with that. I'd love to hear. I love hearing all of your comments, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.